I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 401. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear, sweet, kind friends all over this beautiful world. Happy holidays. They're coming closer. And even if you don't celebrate any of these holidays, it's still a lot of holidaying going on, no matter where you are or what you do. So today I thought would be a great day to talk about something that I have with my clients, not so much with myself, but much more so I've noticed it with my clients over the years. And I thought this would be a great time to bring up the idea of food pushers. Now, that has never come across to me. I've never thought about it like that, and I don't have a problem saying no. But that being said, I have a lot of clients that taught me this term called food pushers. So I became curious about it over the years, and I was thinking today, what would be a good topic to talk about during the holidays that really might help you? So I thought you might be around food pushers too. Now, you might wonder, at least the first time I heard it, I thought I knew what it meant. But I asked one of my clients, well, what is a food pusher? And what she told me, one of my clients said, is it's a person who thinks that you have to eat their food and they're relentless about you eating whatever it is they want you to eat. It's not like they just offer it once and they stop. Quote unquote, relentlessly offering. Do you know anybody like that? Well, I think for me, it's not that I don't know people like that. It's just that that's not one of my triggers. It's really easy for me to say no. And I never think that I'm going to hurt somebody else's feelings, even though somebody else may not like it. I don't believe that I can hurt their feelings. I believe they can think something that might make them feel bad about them offering their food, but I personally cannot do it. So with that being said, that's not what a lot of my clients think when they first come in and we start working, because many people think that people, other people, circumstances, people in the C line, if you know anything about my model, whatever it is that they say affects your feelings, or whatever you say can affect their feelings. And I am not trying to tell you to be tactless. I think it's really important that we have a heart and that we're understanding. But let's just look at this topic in general around the holidays and some of our thoughts around food pushers, why we call them food pushers, and how we can even change that name and change our thinking. Because the problem with that kind of thinking is that usually you end up doing something that is not advantageous to you, like eating something you don't really want to be eating. Have you ever eaten something that either you weren't hungry for, or you didn't like, or you didn't even want to be eating it, but you were so afraid you were going to hurt somebody's feelings that you ate it? That's what I'm talking about today. And because of the holiday season, and there's so many different kinds of celebrations going on, and listen, even if you're not celebrating holidays at all, you've all celebrated something, or you've all been around someone that has made you think or feel like you need to do something you don't want to do. But for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to talk about food pushers during the holidays. And I'm going to give you some examples and also talk about the idea of your MQ. So a couple weeks ago, I talked to you about this term called MQ, your mindfulness quotient. And I talked to you about your emotional quotient called your EQ, and then your intellectual quotient or your intelligence quotient called your IQ. And what I was talking about in those podcasts, that one of the most important things that you want to really help expound on is your mindfulness quotient. In other words, being mindful about what's going through your head and really deciding based on what you're thinking that you can see your own thinking clearly, and you can either mindfully change it, you can mindfully keep it the same, but you're very aware of your own thinking. And therefore, when you're aware of your thinking without judgment, or you're aware of a situation without judgment, you're much more apt to do something that will help you get what you want because you're aware of what's going on in your own head. So when we're talking about food pushers, this MQ that I'm talking about is very, very important. What's going on in your head when somebody offers you something? So let me give you one scenario. Let's say you're going to a holiday party. I'm sure some of you are. And it's a potluck where everybody brings their own dishes, okay? Now, you have a special friend, and you know she's going to be there. And you know right now that in your head, you think she's a food pusher, which means you know that she's going to probably come up to you and want you to eat whatever it is that she brought, and she's going to end up being relentless about it, let's just say. Some of you may know somebody like that. Maybe some of you are like that. But nonetheless, you're at this party. You've done all the right things for yourself in terms of you didn't come to the party very hungry. You either ate a little bit before you came, or you ate and you're not hungry at all because you didn't want to eat at the party. But whatever it is, you're very mindful about your physical hunger by the time you get to the party, and you're where you want to be. And you're looking at all of this food and you're making your decisions about what you want to eat and what you don't want to eat, because that would be the most mindful thing that you can do when you're thinking about what you would like to put in your body and how you would like to feel when you're done. And you're not that hungry that you can't think about it. Now, all of this is going on. You're good. You're socializing with people. You're saying hello to people. And then this very special friend comes up, quote unquote, a food pusher. You see her coming, and she's actually bringing a plate of her food to you to try. Now, you already think she's a food pusher, right? And when you think that thought about her, you already have a feeling that's going on in your body about how you feel about this. So here's the thing. What can you do that will benefit what you want to do? So let's just say either you're not hungry, or it's not something you're even interested in trying. Maybe it's a joy food, but you're not interested in it. And I realize that, of course, you can have a bite of it. You can eat the whole thing if you want. But let's just say for practical purposes, you don't want to. You've been around this person before. You've eaten food when you didn't want to eat it. And now you've been coaching with me for a little bit, and you've got some different things running around in your mind because you're more mindful. So here's what you do instead. Now that you're more mindful and your MQ, your mindfulness quotient, has increased, is it possible that you might be able to do this instead? Like instead of, oh yeah, eat it and tell her how delicious it is and maybe eat some more. Maybe that's what you would have done, and then be really mad at her and keep calling her a food pusher. And then how you can't control yourself, kind of punishing yourself about her and thinking bad thoughts. But this time, you've got it pretty clear that you have a choice and she has a choice. So here's my suggestion of what you can do instead. Because I think in the end, quote unquote, food pushers just want to be appreciated. I don't know how much they want you to eat your food. Well, let's just say she really wants you to eat your food. But more than anything, she wants you to tell her how good it is, because maybe that's her thing. So is there a way where you can show appreciation to her without eating the food? And the answer is yes, you can. And here's how. You can just say, oh my gosh, that looks so good. And I know what a good cook you are, but I'm really just not hungry. But thank you so much for offering. Now, that's one thing you can say. It's true, but you're not hungry and you don't want to eat it. And if you can imagine yourself as a 2 or 3-year-old, if somebody came up to you and said, here, eat this, and you didn't want it, it didn't either look good or you weren't hungry, you would either throw the plate in her face, scream, throw a tantrum. You would do something, but it would be easy for you to say no because you wouldn't be as concerned. So imagine yourself like that, but with a brain that wants to be tactful and not mean, but at the same time, be kind and considerate to yourself, because that's really the point of this podcast, is for you to be kinder and more considerate to yourself, and at the same time, be appreciative to the person who's offering it. And I think what I just said is probably the best way to do both. You can look at her. You can even give her a hug if you want. Whatever you want to do that shows that you appreciate that she thinks enough of you to want to offer you her beautiful dish. And you can still say no. And when you can do that, you have just brought your mindfulness quotient up a little bit. Now, let me give you another scenario. I'm a mother-in-law, so I understand this. I've had a mother-in-law, and it can also be in regards to your own mother. And if you're lucky enough to have any of these people in your life, I'm happy for you. But sometimes these people, as I have found out through my clients, can end up being food pushers, which means that you know that if you go to their home and they're making you a meal, they are going to be more relentless about making sure that you eat their food. And you already know that that's not what you're going to do. Like, you know that you're going to eat some of the food, but you're not going to say yes to everything just because they say, oh, I made this especially for you. Oh my gosh. When they say that, some of you have a really hard time being able to say no when you especially don't want to eat it. So what can you say in this scenario, and what can you think, that mindfulness quotient, what can you think in this scenario which will allow you to say no and not eat the food and eat whatever it is that you're intending to eat, eating between the twos, being mindful about your joy eating, but not eating something you don't want just because you feel bad about hurting somebody else's feelings, especially if it's your mom or your mother-in-law. So here's one of my ideas for you, and you can use it, and I'm sure you'll have a situation for this if you're lucky enough to have these people in your life. And I really look at it like that because as I get older and I've lost some of these people, I realize what good memories they can be too, and how much I'm so happy that either they're here or they were there. So for you, I want you to think the same thing, is how can you have appreciation without going against what's right for you? That's really the thing. Because usually when my clients call these people food pushers, it's because they think that they have to do something they don't want to do because they think these people are pushing food on them. And really, and you can just change this term in your own head, really all a food pusher is somebody who wants to make you happy. That's all. And they want to share something with you that they really like, their food. And you, on the other hand, don't want it. So can you find a way to appreciate them without going against your own boundaries, which is you don't want to eat it? And I know that you can have a taste, and that's fine too. But really what I want you to do is to be able to have your mind more managed around these people that you believe to be pushing food on you. Because when you have that down, you will feel so much more in control when you go out or you're with other people or when other people are cooking for you. I can't tell you how many clients I've had in the past that feel guilty about these type of situations if they say no. And when they feel guilty, why they say yes. Like they're not saying yes because they really want to eat the food or because it looks delicious or because they're really hungry. They say yes because they think they're going to hurt the other person's feelings. And so they go against their own feelings and go against their own best wishes at heart to try to please somebody else. And that's what we're talking about here. So even when it's your mother or your mother-in-law, I want you to think about how you can think about this other than I have to do it, other than I don't want to hurt their feelings. And instead turn it around into what I think and feel is more important. And that the way that you say it is probably more important. Like if you're going to say no, you wouldn't say no, that looks terrible. I don't want to eat it, right? But you could say no, that looks wonderful, but I'm not hungry. Or I've had enough. Or I'm not eating that tonight. Or whatever it is that you want to say, but you say it in a way that's kind, but at the same time, it's the truth. And that's what we're talking about, being authentic, being truthful, and more important, honoring what you really, really want when it comes to eating. Because what we're all working on, if you're working with me or you're working and listening to my podcast, is this thinner peace process is all about being peaceful inside around food. And probably there's no other time during the holidays when there's other people wanting you to eat something. Cookies. Do you know anybody that makes special cookies during the holidays and they bring them to your house and they want you to eat them? Now, some of my clients eat them. Some of my clients have learned how to bring up their mindfulness quotient, their MQ, so that they can think differently about, number one, what can you say in that scenario when somebody's bringing over their special cookies and you don't want them, you don't like them, or you don't want to eat it right then, or you might want to eat it later. But whatever it is, how can you be more authentic and kind to yourself and kind to the other person, but actually honoring what's right for you and less about worried about what they're going to think? That's really what we're talking about now. The holidays probably bring this up more than any other time, but in the end, can you really hurt somebody else's feelings? If you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you may know the answer to that. And believe me, when I'm talking about this, I am not encouraging you to be mean when you say no. I'm just encouraging you to say no when it's the truth in a kind way. So when somebody's bringing over their special cookies, their special Christmas cookies, and they're knocking on your door and you answer it, and they're sitting there with the plate of cookies, and once again, you have a thought about them, food pusher. They're trying to push food on me. And I really want you to try my cookies, is what they say when you answer the door. I know how much you're going to love them. And they look happy, and please try them. And here, let me come in. Let me eat one with you. Or, people are all different on what they do. But if you believe somebody is pushing food on you, then you're also believing that you don't have any control. Because really, there's no such thing as a food pusher unless you think that and use that term. That's what I said. For me, I'm not saying I don't have other issues. That's just not one for me. But boy, do I hear it from a lot of my clients. So I've learned a lot about it. So when they bring the cookies and the special cookies and the special smile, how can you say no and still appreciate the gesture that they were thinking about you? Because in the end, that is really what they're doing, is they think enough of you to want to share something that they love. They might love to cook, and they might love the things that they make, and they love to share. Is there a way to be able to appreciate all that without putting it in your mouth if you don't want it? That is the practice of the season, is how to say no and be kind and honor yourself first, and letting somebody else handle their own emotions. Like you handle your emotions and you let them handle their emotions. Just make sure that you're the one that can be kind when you say no. And you can be appreciative and still say no. And I think in the end, that's what most people want. Now, I can't get in everybody's heads to know that's exactly what they want. Maybe there are some quote unquote food pushers that want you to sit and eat all the food right in front of them and don't leave until you do. And in that case, you still have to honor your own ground and learn how to stand up for yourself. It's really great practice for anything in your life. So the holidays will bring this up more than anything. So how are you going to handle it? I just want you to think about that right now. If you think about managing your own mind and what you want to think when you go somewhere and somebody's offering you something, there is something there, and they're saying with great pride, "This is my famous meatloaf. I can't wait for you to try it," and you don't want it. You want to think of them as a food pusher because maybe every year that's what they do? Or do you want to think of somebody who really likes you a lot and really likes to do nice things for you? And then you can really feel appreciative. Wow, they think enough of me to make that. Because that's, in their mind, that is the way that they show their own love. I've had a lot of clients say, "What do you do when people cook out of love and food out of love?" I would say to you, I want you to do what's right for you out of love for yourself more than anything else. You can love the other person too and be appreciative, and you can love yourself enough to say no. Hey, that's a great idea for this year. How to handle a quote unquote food pusher and turn a food pusher thought into a person who likes and appreciates me, who wants to do something nice for me. Instead of a food pusher, a really nice person. How's that? I want you to really think about that this time of year. And of course, I would never want you to stop listening to this podcast without first remembering this. And I'm talking about this a lot as we talk about the holidays, is that I'm talking about kindness right now, kindness to others and kindness to yourself. So no matter where you go or what you do in the next week, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.